Yo, 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 guys, how are we doing? We've discussed Epstein being an intelligence agent, potentially for CIA and even the Israeli IDF, or however that works in Israel. We've talked about dark music theories, how the music industry can be used to sway public opinion and influence people. And now we're going to get onto spirituality, because how do you protect yourself from the elites and their manipulative ways? The key is spirituality, guys, right? Because the elites are spiritual, okay? They're dark spiritual, don't get me wrong, not all of them, but a lot of them, they're very evil, dark, satanic spiritual. They want to bring their god, aka the devil, back to this realm in any way they can, mainly through trauma, unfortunately. And we're going to basically tell you how to heal from that trauma through spiritual awakening, all right? So this week, this month, I should say, this new moon, what up, new moon? The law of vibration is what we're going to tuck into, okay? So what if everything you see, everything you feel, even your thoughts are all just vibrations? Not metaphorically, literally. Ancient traditions have been saying this for thousands of years. Long before modern science and quantum mechanics talked about energy and frequency, spiritual systems were already describing reality as something that vibrates, okay? Today, people call it the law of vibration. The idea that everything in the universe is in constant motion, operating at different frequencies. But this isn't just a modern self-help concept. It's deeply connected to ancient belief systems like Gnosticism, Hinduism, and Sufism. At its core, the law of vibration suggests one simple truth. Everything moves, everything vibrates. Nothing is ever truly still. Your thoughts, frequencies. Your emotions, frequencies. Even the physical around you is just energy vibrating at a much slower, dense rate. And according to this idea, the frequency on which you operate shapes the reality you experience. But where did this belief come from? In Gnosticism, an ancient spiritual movement and a deeply spiritual part of Christianity, the physical world was seen as an illusion, a flawed copy of a higher, perfect reality. They believed that the divine truth existed beyond this holographic realm, and that humans were trapped inside a holographic illusion. Sound familiar? If you've seen The Matrix, it certainly will. To the Gnostics, awakening wasn't about belief, it was about gnosis, direct inner knowing. Some interpretations suggest that this illusion could be understood as a lower vibrational state, a dense layer of reality that hides the truth, and your job is to escape it. How do you escape it? You raise your awareness. Or in modern terms, you raise your frequency. In Hinduism, this idea goes even deeper. The universe itself is said to have begun with the sound Om. Not just a sound, a vibration, the original frequency from which all creation emerged. In ancient texts, reality is described as Maya, an illusion shaped by perception. Everything you see is not the ultimate truth, but a projection, a vibrating expression of a deeper consciousness known as Brahman. And your true self? Not your body, not your thoughts, but Atman, a piece of that same universal energy. The goal is simple, yet profound: to align yourself with that higher frequency and realize that you were never separate from it in the first place. Sufism, the spiritual part of Islam, the journey isn't necessarily about escaping the world. It's about transforming your relationship with it by overcoming the ego, attachment, and distraction. It teaches living within the world while using it as a path to purify the heart and grow closer to God without being consumed by it, since the hereafter is the real and the eternal life. Sufis believe that everything in existence is a reflection of the divine, and a path to the truth lies in the heart, the qalb. Through practices like remembrance of Allah, called dhikr, devotional music, and meditation, Sufis aim to purify the heart and tune themselves to a higher state of being, what they describe as closeness to God. Not through logic, but through intuition and vibration. They speak of love as a force that elevates the soul, a frequency that dissolves the illusion of separation. In this state, the individual self and ego begins to fade, and only unity remains. 3 different paths, 3 different traditions, but one underlying idea. Reality is not fixed, it's fluid. It's energetic. Gnosticism speaks of awakening from the illusion. Hinduism speaks of aligning with the cosmic vibration. Sufism speaks of tuning the soul through love and devotion. 3 different languages, but the same message. Everything is vibration, then what you think, feel, and focus on matters more than you realize. Because you're not just observing reality, you're interacting with it, shaping it, tuning into it. So the question isn't just what is real, but the question is, what frequency are you living on? All right, guys, we wanted to give a shout out to the fans of the pod, particularly on TikTok, who have been commenting. Okay, and we've got some comments. So this one is from Chris. Shout out, Chris. I'll stick your little picture in. Chris says, I had a Kundalini awakening last Easter. The base of my spine literally rattled like a snake's tail. As the energy shot up my spine, chakras felt like they exploded. How many reached I had felt a pop, and the right hand side of my brain energized. Then prana came out the top of my head and rested on my crown. It was incredible. This is an anonymous comment, so let me explain in scientific terms. When you clean your body, and the time is right, the pineal gland will decalcify, and if you can vibrate your vagus nerve with humming, or as some people do, chanting, your vagus nerve activates, allowing your tongue to stick to the roof of your mouth, completing the electrical circuit in your body. The energy will travel up from your coccyx bone through your spinal fluid. Amazing things happen when you awaken the vagus nerve and the pineal gland. You know when this has happened, as when you breathe, you feel what I can only explain as electricity running through your body, and you should be able to control this. You know when you can, as all of the hairs in your body will stand on end. This is mentioned in many different religions in different ways. When this happens, some incredible things happen. It is not an easy path, but everyone's path is different. Thank you very much, Anonymous. And this is from Spiritual Woman. Guru Nanak Dev Ji message was Chardi Kala, meaning 5th dimension. Jenkii is a spiritual path, not a religion. Guru Nanak Dev's G energy lived by the law of the universe. When you think it's a thought, that thought will become an emotion. That emotion will then become attention. That attention becomes reality. A thought is energy. An emotion is energy. An attention is energy. Reality is energy. So what frequency do you want to vibrate at? What reality do you want to create and become? It's all in your hands. Life is a mind game. Test it out for yourself. Manipulate your energy and see what happens. You are the executive creative director, chief buyer, and lifetime coordinator. You are very important. You decide the direction and you decide the steps and take the moves you make. We are in the 5th dimension. Everyone in the 3rd dimension can definitely feel the shift. They just don't understand it. Very, very interesting, guys. And thank you for commenting. And if you'd like to comment, then please get in there, comment on the YouTube, comment on the TikTok, comment on the Instagram, and we'll make sure to start reading out some comments, guys. All right, we'll read you out. All right, guys, I'm going to get into a story by Evolve by Erica. Check her out on YouTube, okay? Evolve by Erica. And this is her Kundalini story because I watched it and I really liked it. So I wanted to share it. My Kundalini awakening. And by my Kundalini awakening, I mean Erica's Kundalini awakening. Imagine I'm Erica. Honestly, if I had looked up Kundalini before going through it myself, I probably would have been really scared. I might have even avoided it completely. Kundalini often gets a bad reputation. People say it's dangerous or overwhelming. And while that might be true for some, my experience was actually very gentle, graceful, and deeply blissful. That's what I want to share with you today. I truly believe Kundalini can be awakened in a soft, gradual, and approachable way. It doesn't have to be this intense surge of energy your body can't handle. That's often the fear, right? that it's too much for your system, which is why preparing your body and nervous system is so important. I'll talk more about that later. My journey started back in 2017 when I had been dealing with anxiety for most of my life, but it reached a breaking point. I began having severe panic attacks. My heart would suddenly start racing so intensely that I'd feel the blood drain from my face. My lips would go pale, and I generally felt like I might pass out or have a heart attack. That's when it hit me. I had been living with anxiety for years without fully realizing it. I started going to doctors, and every single one asked me the same thing. Are you aware that you have anxiety? And I was, but I just didn't know what to do about it. At 25, I was already dealing with high blood pressure, largely driven by anxious thoughts. Looking back, I can see I struggled with health anxiety as a way to try and control outcomes. I thought that worrying about my health would somehow keep me healthy, but it did the opposite. It kept me stuck in a constant fight or flight state, with negative thoughts running through my mind all day. Eventually, I realized this wasn't normal, and it wasn't how I wanted to live my life. I started observing people around me, especially those practicing manifestation. I noticed something important. They focused their energy on what they wanted. I, on the other hand, was focused entirely on what I feared. So I began asking for help, whether from the universe, a higher power, or anything that might guide me. At the time, I didn't even fully believe in those things. I had no real sense of faith. I just knew I couldn't keep living the way I was. I didn't feel safe in my body or my future. One day, I decided to go plant-based. That alone created a noticeable shift in how I felt. Not long after, I had this strong inner nudge. You need to start meditating. I had no experience in meditation. No one in my family practiced it, but something about that message stuck with me. So I began journaling every day, asking for guidance, asking to be shown how to live a calmer, more peaceful life, and eventually, something showed up. I came across a simple 5-day Kundalini breathwork challenge. Just 5 minutes a day. I didn't fully understand it, but I felt drawn to it. Before even getting advice from a friend, I signed up. I started practicing every morning, chanting mantras I didn't yet understand, doing breathwork in bed. It felt unfamiliar, even a bit strange at first, but I'll never forget the time it truly clicked. One night, I practiced for just 3 minutes. Afterward, I lay down and felt this overwhelming sense of peace, almost euphoric. And I remember thinking, this must be what it's like to feel calm. I had never felt that before. For the first time, I felt safe in my body. From that moment on, I committed to practicing just 3 to 5 minutes every morning. At the time, I was an elementary school teacher and definitely not a morning person. Tell me about it, babe. But honestly, I made it priority. And almost immediately, I felt a shift. My mind became quieter. My body felt lighter. Everything felt more imbalanced, more in rhythm. As I continued, I noticed even bigger changes. I had more energy. My perspective on life began to shift. My relationships improved. I felt genuine gratitude, something I hadn't truly experienced before. That's when I knew something profound was happening. Over time, I gained more control over my thoughts. When negative thoughts came up, I could choose differently. I was creating new neurological pathways, strengthening the positive patterns. As that momentum built, my anxiety slowly faded. The fear lost its grip on me. I began to feel something I had never truly experienced before: faith, trust, surrender. This journey transformed every part of my life. I eventually left my teaching career to share this work full time, helping others connect with their own energy through meditation and breath work. I became more empathetic, more patient, more aware. I even felt like I had access to parts of my mind that were previously out of reach, like seeing life through a completely new lens. There was more clarity, more insight, more wisdom. And along the way, I started noticing signs, synchronicities, little things that felt meaningful in ways I couldn't explain before. For me, the awakening was peaceful, exciting, deeply fulfilling, and for the first time, I felt truly at home in my body. Now, everyone's experience will be different. It depends on what you're carrying, what you need to heal, how your system processes energy. That's why preparation is so important. Start by becoming mindful of what you consume: food, media, environments. how you care for your body, how you support your nervous system, and most importantly, start small. Those 3 to 5 minute practices are very powerful. And they do work. Let your intuition guide you. It will tell you where you need to go and when you're ready to go deeper. Allow the process to unfold naturally. Set the intention for a peaceful, balanced awakening. Ask to be guided to the practices that are right for you, and trust that your journey will be unique. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you very much, Erica. Evolved by Erica. That was a great story. Really inspiring, really enlightening. And I hope that you've enjoyed that, guys, okay? And again, if you have any stories, please do get it in the comments. Let's hear it. And now I've got a story of my own. I don't know if you're aware of pagan festivals, but every 6 weeks or so, there's a pagan festival of sorts. We did Imbolc a few weeks ago, and recently, the weekend just gone, I did Astara with some friends, and I had a really good spiritual experience. So essentially I set up a sort of 2-day ceremony. And so what I did for this was I set up an altar. I had like some rose quartz crystals, some sage, a shell, a feather, you know, all these little kind of pagan-y bits, witchcrafty bits. And I made it look pretty, you know, lit some candles. I went outside, set up a fire and, you know, would burn things, because when you look into fire, it kind of touches your soul, because fire is spirit. So if you want to connect with your spirit, it's really good to kind of look. It doesn't have to be a bonfire, it could be a candle, but like just look into a flame, look into plasma. Don't look into the sun, you'll burn your retinas. But any form of plasma, when you look at plasma, you sync your internal plasma with the plasma you're looking at. And we also did an egg ritual, which was really cute. We painted an egg. I put my Jenkii logo on it because I'm releasing music this year, if I haven't mentioned it already. And so I wanted to obviously bring joy and rebirth to the birth of my music. And then not to promote the use of any drugs, guys. We do not promote the use of drugs on the Jenkii journey. However, I will share with you an experience I had on LSD. For educational reasons only, because I want everyone to feel educated, especially when it comes to the use of drugs, because it can go wrong. It really can, particularly with psychedelics. But yeah, it was crazy for the opening ceremony, what I call like a little mini ceremony. It maybe lasts about 6 hours, and that was just fun. It was just really nice just to dance, listen to music, dance around the fire, manifest things, visualize what I want in my future, things that I want to happen this year, you know, just really focusing my mind on the things that I want to happen in order to help my music career unfold. And then on the second day, around Monday 3 p.m, I started the main ceremony. Over the course from Monday 3 p.m. till Tuesday 11 p.m. or whatever, for the first day till about 8 a.m. Tuesday morning, it was all fun and games. And then Tuesday morning 8 a.m, all of a sudden it got really, really deep. Like I was being brought back to like my childhood, and you know, and things in my childhood which I guess had in some way scarred me. In particular, I think, you know, when you have strict parents, you know, as a child, you ever so slightly resent the stricter parent or whatever. And then because you have this deep-seated resentment, it then affects your relationship with other people. And so I realized that my relationships with other people were being affected because of this deep-seated resentment I had. Obviously, I was talking to my friends about, you know, what I was going through, because basically I just started crying, like really crazy. Like I don't actually know how long I was crying for, but it felt like 2 hours. It felt like 2-3 hours, and not crying like, but just like my face was blank, like, and just water would just not stop streaming from my eyes. Like I've never had that much. It was like 2 or 3 hours of just constant streaming, and just like, you know, that feeling inside of just like, so it felt like someone had died, basically. That's what it was like. It was like I was there witnessing someone dying, but it was happening there, like there and then. Even though no one was dying, in terms of the sadness I was feeling, it was like I was letting go of a lot of things. I guess what was dying was my scared childhood self, in a sense. Obviously, letting go of that scared child then released all of this tears and all of this energy. And actually, what I think happened was an unblocking of my heart chakra. The reason I think this is because I feel a lot better now, like since this ceremony. Obviously, for the first day when I was like non-stop sad for like 6 hours, I was like, this is okay, have I done some damage here? Like, have I just like blown the emotional centers of my brain apart? But no, I was just releasing so much deep-seated resentment from my childhood that it just cleared it all out, and it's all gone now. Like, I feel great. Like, I don't feel resentment at all for anything or anyone, and I feel really light in the heart. really, really light in the heart, and I feel empathetical. I feel understanding. When people are getting emotional at me now, instead of me emotionally reacting, I'm like, what's this person's deep resentment about? Do you know what I mean? I'm more, rather than being like getting annoyed that someone's getting annoyed at me, I'm like, oh, I wonder why this person's getting annoyed. It's like, I don't emotionally react anymore. I like, what's the point of emotionally react? And obviously I do a little bit, don't get me wrong, but like so much less, you know, like I'm more understanding of people's emotions rather than just feeling inflicted by other people's emotions now. So yeah, much lighter in the heart. I think my next chakra to unblock is maybe the throat chakra. I feel like I'm up to here now, and you have to start at the root and then do root, then solar plexus, then. But either way, I'm working up, and now now the next ceremony I think is going to be very focused on the throat chakra, if the sequence continues. And yeah, guys, so that's basically the Jenkii Journey episode 8, guys. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've been enlightened. That is the purpose of the Jenkii Journey, to enlighten you all on your own journey, so that you may get through life more spiritual than you entered it. That's literally the whole point of life, guys. So yeah, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening on audio, guys. Thank you for telling your friends. Thank you for following. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sharing. And we'll see you next month on episode 9 of the Jenkii Journey. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for subscribing and watching all my content. I hope this one gets views. Yes, thank you.